Hello, class. For my final takeaway video, of course, my job is I'm a sort of a HR manager for a ROTC battalion headquarters. Our mission, of course, every year is to commission second lieutenants into the United States Army. So we'll get right to it. My first major takeaway from the course is a very thorough appreciation and renewed sort of application of the performance management process for my team. The strategic priorities for commissioning vary throughout the year, but those who are familiar with the military, especially, can understand, taskings, mission requirements. They pop up from anywhere and on very short notice, so that can distract us a little bit. I always make it a point to regularly review our requirements as a HR section and apply feedback as needed to help ensure that our all of our performance and energy is being directed where it should be to accomplish the command's mission. So essentially, I clarify our goals and priorities for the team. A second major takeaway from the course is gained a lot of perspective into strategic planning. It's been a big academic and professional goal of mine since I started my master's to become more of a strategic thinker. So it'll help me, perform at the next level in the military. As a field grade officer who are, who operate more strategically, and as opposed to a company grade, which I am now, which are, operational and they work at the tactical level. So I think a lot more about, because people in the Army, they move around, they change duty stations, where they're working at. So I think a lot more about, instead of, just putting a person to these vacancies and, trying to get them all filled. I work more a lot about how I take a more holistic view of the battalions of our ROTC programs. They're dispersed across several different states. We have 38 total. So I'll take into account, how many cadets they have, how well they're performing their mission, their proximity to other schools. So if they're close to other schools, they can get a little bit of help if they're short-staffed. And I'll take a lot more things into consideration before, assigning priorities to fill and, requesting augmentees, instructors, any help from National Guard or cadres. So it's a lot more, I do a lot more kind of a SWOT analysis essentially than I was doing before. My third takeaway, I've been able to apply my work, I've been able to apply to my work a lot of the what consists of unintentional rater biases, essentially. So as an HR manager, Battalion S1, for those who are familiar with the Army and the military stuff, I've done several hundreds, probably at least 1,000 evaluations, and then very few outside of the rating chain. The supervisor, higher level supervisor, are ever going to see. So it's a big position of trust. So, and also, people's careers and livelihood, they depend on these evaluations. So I always take it very seriously. This course really helped me to look at these evaluations from a more holistic, much better perspective. So I shared my week 4 discussion board post. What bothers me the most tends to be spillover error. This occurs when ratings from previous evaluations unjustly influence current ratings. This is pervasive in the Army because we have two main sections. It's the immediate supervisor rates their potential, and the immediate supervisor rates their performance. The supervisor, aka their senior rater, rates their potential. So I also noticed that spillover error tends to correlate with the halo effect as well. So that's when we see someone new to the unit and they've got like all this great stuff on their uniform, and they've got maybe some really good schools that are hard to come by, and they're rare. They're rare in some of these units. So these leaders just become enamored by them, and they can just do no wrong because they're just a shining star. And boy, right when they show up, it's a year-long appraisal, and right when they show up, it's like, oh, they just look amazing. So it's, yeah. The fourth takeaway from the course is I've been able to apply to my current job is newfound appreciation for individual development plans. So while the Army is very proficient at developing leaders, the IDP, individual development plan, isn't really a big thing for us, honestly, but it's very, very big for my civilians. And it's actually a requirement to generate this, and it has to coincide with their performance plan and their annual appraisal. So it's really encouraged me to learn a lot about more developmental and broadening opportunities that the Department of Defense provides for civilians. Also, it gives me the opportunity to let them know where I think they need to improve ahead of time, so they're not, receiving all their feedback, at the very end of the year, and it's suddenly a surprise, which is kind of a worst case situation for an appraisal that nobody wants to go through and nobody should put somebody through. And it also it gives me insight into my employees and their motivations and their goals, so I can better help coach and mentor them along through the year. My fifth and final takeaway from the course involves some of the strategic aspects of the performance management process. So, in my previous courses, as I've been working through my master's for human resources administration, I've learned a lot about conducting job analyses. I've actually done two of them for different courses, developing the KSAOs, turning everything into a job description, determining core competencies, so on and so forth. But this course really gave me some perspective and had an impact on me on how my views of the work that we produce in our section. It's made me more mindful and on making me want to maintain the efficiencies and our priorities of work that align to the organization's goals. Like it's great to just have a super stellar HR section and just turn out great numbers and all this stuff, but more importantly, we need to get under the command's umbrella too and make sure, even though it's a little out of our realm, we're supporting the overall mission. That's all I got. It's been a great course. Cheers.